Le'avdil from Hashem Yitbarach. When you're learning Torah, you're learning about your Maker. You're not doing it for Him. You're not doing Him any favors. So who do you think you are coming with so many complaints? Hashem give me this, Hashem give me that. Why? Why do you think He owes you all this stuff? Now He may or may not give it to you, but the point is that once you rewire your brain to stop thinking that Hashem owes you anything, everything changes. And the reason why, it's okay, don't worry about it. And the reason why is because when you go to somebody that owes you money, someone owes you money, you call the guy, he's like, hey, Joe, I need the money. You're not worrying about being so nice. Guy owes you $500,000. You lent to them for 90 days, like the guy lent $500,000 to, his Greek guy. Nice guy, wonderful guy. I lent him $500,000. It was supposed to be a loan for 90 days. 90 days. It's been slightly over 10 years. I'm still waiting for the $500,000. But you call the guy, you say, hey, listen, Pete, I need the money. I'm not worried about being nice to Pete. Just like if you lent your friend $500, same thing. Joe, listen, I lent you the money for 2 months. You're supposed to return it. Not worried about, hey, Joe, how you doing? How's your family? Did that dog ever die at the end? Oh, he's okay. Oh, HaShem, perhaps. I was praying for your dog. You're not worrying about the whole being nice. The guy owes you money. I want my money. Maybe you're going to be somewhat friendly or whatever. You don't want to attack the guy. But you're not worrying about, like, you know, appeasing him, if you will. He owes you something. It's not that you owe him money. Now, when you call your landlord, on the other hand, because you don't have the money to pay the rent, then you're nice. You're like, hey, oh, hey, Mr. Jones, how are you? How's the family? How's the kids? Oh, the kids are, oh, you don't have any kids. Oh, yeah. But you know what? If you would have had kids, they would have been very happy, I know, because you're a nice guy, Joe. Oh, you're Joe. His name's not Joe, it's Steve. Oh, yeah, Steve. You know, all of a sudden you're trying to be so friendly. Why? Because you owe the guy money. And you don't have it. So you're extra, extra nice. Why do we act like that with humans? Which makes sense, by the way. But with God, it's the opposite. With God, we call God every day like He owes us something. God, why is my boyfriend not returning my call on time? God, why is my boss not giving me a raise? God, why did I get a flat tire? Why do you keep doing this to me, God? Can't you just fix it? And we come to Hashem with constant complaints like He owes us something. Now if we could just switch a little bit. Like Rabbi Yochanan said to his students in Gemara Masechet Brachot, when he was on his deathbed, his students asked him for a blessing. And he said to them, the greatest blessing I can give you is may you have fear of Hashem at least as much as you have of mankind. He said to them, no, Rav, maybe you made a mistake, you're dying. No. May you have fear from Hashem at least as much as you have from man. It's like, Adkan, Rav, we're not understanding. What do you mean? Teach us. What does that even mean? What do you mean, fear Hashem like man? It's supposed to be the opposite. Give the rabbi respect like you give Hashem or something, or not even, but this doesn't make any sense. Because even though in reality you're supposed to fear Hashem more than anything else, in reality, you don't. You don't. How do we know? Anytime you make a sin, accidental sin, not on purpose. On purpose sin, you have a serious problem. You're driving on Shabbat, knowing that you're not allowed to drive on Shabbat, you have a mental problem. You're pretty much saying, okay, Hashem, I want to go to Gehenom forever. You drive on Shabbat, to the Knesset, to the store, to anywhere. You turn on the gas just because you want to hear music. You're telling Hashem, Hashem, thank you very much for reserving a room called VIP in Gehenom forever for me. It's much stupid. If you actually know what Shabbat is worth to Hashem, and you still violate it, you're crazy. So I'm not talking about that type of sin. I'm talking about accidental sin. They just started keeping Shabbat, trying to do tshuva. And you know what? By reflex, even if they're from birth, accidentally they turn on the light. You know, sometimes you go into the bathroom and your natural reflex is to turn on the light. Or when you leave the bathroom, your natural reflex is to turn off the light. Naturally, it's not like something you think about too much. It doesn't require much brain space. But then, as soon as you shut it off or you turn it on, it's like, oh, it's Shabbat. Now, in the beginning, when you first start keeping Shabbat, that's what you do. Oh, it's Shabbat. A little while longer, a few months, it's like, oh, Shabbat. A couple years, like, oh, Shabbat. After you get a little more numb, because you get used to Shabbat, oh, what's the score today, by the way? You stop caring. You stop caring. You become comfortably numb. And it's okay, you just sinned. It was accident. It was accident. So Hashem's going to understand it was an accident. Hashem's going to understand it's an accident. In the days of the Bet HaMikdash, that accidental sin, you would have to bring a giant cow as a korban. Now the fact that you lived in Tiberia, or you lived anywhere else, that it would take you 3 days to get to Jerusalem, it didn't matter. The fact that you're going to miss out on 2 weeks worth of work just to bring this one korban. You have to get there, you have to stay there, you have to wait online, do the korban, and eventually come back. By the time you come back, you're off of work for 2 weeks. It's a big, big money loss for one accidental sin. Accidental, I'm not talking about on purpose to give you death penalty. There's no korban, there's no tshuva for purpose, a sin that's on purpose. If it's accident, you bring a korban, sacrifice. If it's on purpose, they say kaddish. So for accident, you go bring a korban. Today, we make sins like, Hashem's going to understand, it's accident, it's accident. But if you finish your lecture at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you're driving 100 million miles an hour to get home as soon as possible because you don't really feel like being outside and at 3 o'clock in the morning, you want to get home already. So you're driving 150 miles an hour, and a cop turns on the light right behind you. What happens? Immediately your heart drops. Immediately you're, oh, he caught me. Oh, I'm going to get a ticket. Oh, $300, $400, they're going to take my license. You start saying Hashem, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu. You start repeating Mishnayot, Tfilot. All of a sudden you became Chazdei Umot HaOlam. You became the best in the world. All of a sudden all the Tfilot that you've ever learned, you remember them now. Why? Because there's a little sign, a little light chasing you now. And that's what Rabbi Yochanan was saying. You make sins with Hashem, you get used to it. You're not really scared of Him. But you see the cop with his little lights. He just turned the light. You don't even know if it's of you. You don't even know if he's actually stopping you yet. Just the fact that you saw the light, you already got a heart attack. May you fear Hashem as much as you fear man. And that's us. When we question Hashem and act towards Him like He owes us something, it's even worse. Because we're putting ourselves in a scenario that it's mamash the opposite. The same hand that feeds us, we're complaining to it. So now if we switched, we did tshuva, just by now thinking about it a little differently. You say, you know what? Let me thank Hashem. Let me start thanking Him instead of complaining to Him. Let me start being more grateful instead of being ungrateful. Everything changes, and the reason why is because the next time you pray to Hashem, you're not going to come with like one of these little complainers. Say, Hashem, why this, why that, why this, why this, why this, I did this for you, I did this for you. No, all of a sudden you're like, Hashem, Shtabach Shem Olad, look how many things you've done for me already. The conversation changes tones. Because now you're calling the landlord. Now you're calling the boss. Now when you learn Torah, it's like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to because I want to get the job. I'm learning Torah so I know who my maker is. I'm praying to Him because I want to have a conversation with Him. Everything changes completely. Your entire life changes completely once you realize Hashem does not owe you anything. Rabbi Ephraim said a good story in a short chidush he gave a couple of days ago. He said a woman came to Rav Auerbach, Zecher Tzadik V'Kadosh Livracha, and came to him and cried to him that she hasn't been able to have kids for 20 years. 20 years she's trying to have children, unfortunately no success. Now Auerbach was soft heart, a loving, amazing soul, huge, giant Talmid Chacham. And he says to her, he cried with her, he felt her, he understood the pain she's dealing with. That was one of the amazing traits of the Gedolei Ador, is that they could connect to people, not just by words, but much with feelings. You cry, they cry, even though they've never met you in their life. You know how many stories I've heard about Rav Ovadia Yosef and many of the other tzaddikim that would mamash start hysterical crying with complete strangers. We barely are able to cry with family. They're crying with strangers. Why? Because another Jew is suffering. For them, that's painful. So he started crying with her, but then at the end he said to her, Hashem doesn't really owe you anything. He doesn't owe you a child. He structured the world in a way where nature looks like it's taking its course, things look natural, even though Hashem himself is nature, and that's why the word Elokim, with a hey, has the same numerical value as Hateva, which means the nature. In Hebrew, both equal 86. Hashem telling you, I am nature, but in hiding. And he operates the world in a natural way. But nonetheless, there are certain things. He says, listen, this person will have 10 kids. This person won't have any. This person will be rich. This person will be poor. This person will have a husband. This person won't. This person will have a wife that's loving and caring. This person will have the Satan's ex-wife, because even he couldn't deal with her as a wife. You understand? The point is that Hashem decrees all these things based on our actions, based on our gilgulim, all different cheshbonot, all different types of accounting and calculations that only Hashem knows. Nonetheless, Hashem runs the world the way He wants to run the world. It's not according to our tune. What He wants to do, He'll do. So Auerbach tells them, everything that you're doing, you're saying you're doing, you're modest, you keep Shabbat, you keep mitzvot, you're a wonderful, amazing person, that's all you're really supposed to do. Everything that you're doing, you're keeping all the mitzvot, you keep kosher, you tell people that Hashem is great, you pray, you cry when you pray, all of those things that you're doing, you're supposed to do anyway. There's no extra credit for coming to work on time. You're supposed to come on time. There's no extra credit for completing your job. You're supposed to. If you don't, you get fired. Now we have an understanding of this, most of us that are logical human beings, with our job. But we have a misunderstanding of it with God. We think that every time we learn something that's connected to Hashem, we're supposed to get like the lotto, minimum. Minimum we win the lotto if we read Parashat Shavua. So, in essence, first thing we have to understand is that there are things we're supposed to do. We get rewarded for them, but nonetheless we're supposed to do them. Meaning that even if there was no reward, we'd still have to do them. Why? Hashem said so.